Oh, oh gosh, I didn't realize that I started it. Hi there. Okay, I'm not done yet. Okay, great. So I'll be back. Thank you. Hmm. Good morning, YouTube. You guys are here early. I didn't actually mean to start the video. I didn't mean to say go live before I was ready, and I did. And so you guys get to be here while this is happening. And so be it. It is all perfect. It is all perfect. There's always order, even when it appears not to be. And so I'm just lighting the candles in honor of this ritual and the ancestors and the power that we are calling back to ourselves in this month of Black History. All right. Whew. Good morning. Okay, let me get started on Instagram as well. Hmm. All right. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Peace and blessings. Good morning. On today, um, get my. Oh, I don't want to burn myself. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Let me tell y'all, yesterday was that final day of Mercury retrograde. So now Mercury is going direct, and Venus is also going direct. But it was a brutal day energetically. It was beautiful. My son's birthday was beautiful. My son is an amazing being. I'm so grateful that I said yes to being his mother. Hey, Devin, thank you so much for the birthday present for my son. I actually gave it to him. I was like, let me tell my, I was like, one of my clients sent you a gift. Can I? And then I sent it to him and he was so grateful. He was so happy. And so thank you for that. That was very, very beautiful. Thank you, Devin. Um, so we have our candles, 4 black candles, 3 red candles. The black is for drawing the energy back, the power, bringing the power back. The red is about energy and warrior, like the will to the will. That's what it is. What we're doing is we're restoring our will because what 400 years of oppression and terror did was it really destroyed our will to thrive, our will to be ourselves, our will to create, all of that. So today is a Venus day. Venus is in the where's Venus? Venus is at the 11th degree of Capricorn. Venus is still in its retrograde shadow. And so Venus in the retrograde shadow is asking us to really look at our authority and where we have given it away. Now, because we are conditioned in a country, in a world that is set up to extract our authority, this is a very deep question. And so today is a Venus day, and Venus Day is the day that I ask for donations or thank yous or whatever it is that you want to offer in recognition and reciprocity for what you receive in this space here, what you receive in the work that I offer, right? And so Venus is about reciprocity. And that's the greatest challenge in this country, that there has not been reciprocity. There has not been a willingness to restore the natural order, to say, you've given this, now we're going to give this. There've been conversations of reparations and all those sorts of things. And um, and what happens is we can start waiting on things, and we don't need to wait on anyone to approve of us, to decide that we're worthy to restore ourselves. We don't have to wait for them to realize that what they've done was horrible or wrong to restore ourselves. One of the great things that I give myself permission to do in any experience is to heal, whether the other person heals or gets it or not. I'm not going to linger in this bullshit no more. Like, I'm done. Okay. Like, so I'm going to restore myself, and I don't need the other side's participation to do it. So, but today is a Venus day. Venus day is the day of restoration, money, abundance, all of that. So how are you restoring yourself? How are you restoring yourself in this conversation around being a Black person in this country? How are you restoring yourself? What are the things you're doing intentionally, deliberately, to actually restore yourself? And what are you restoring yourself to? Because we have been born into a system. We don't want to, we've not even seen the blueprint of who we are and what we're really capable of. What we are functioning as in this country is almost a skeleton of what we're capable of. When we actually begin to truly go inside and ask, who am I? What is this about? How can I, what does this serve? What did my ancestors learn? What was the value of this? How is this supporting me? How is this growing me? What is this experience called being a captive or being enslaved by another group of people? What is that actually? What was the meaning of that? What was the purpose of that? Until we begin to do the deep internal work that isn't necessarily associated with the system, until we can stop blaming, right? Until we have to, and let me say this, we can't deny what we're feeling, right? So initially you might have to just be in the anger and the rage and the trauma and the and the reality of what the experience was for those of us who experienced it, right? So that's why I said for years I would read books, I would read stories, firsthand accounts. I studied at Howard University, I studied in the Library of Congress. I read firsthand accounts of slaves and slave women captives, right? I read these books as a child so that I could really deeply embody. I needed to feel what the fuck went on, what was happening, right? And then, I couldn't take it all, but I would read like a 3 or 4 stories of women or men, and then I would understand, like, oh, this happened for 250 years to millions of people. Like, I needed to see it. I needed to understand the story of Medgar Evers. I needed to understand, Malcolm X and all of the leaders that were killed. I needed to really go in and embody it so that I knew exactly what I was functioning in. When I was young, I understood, as a very young girl, I understood, like, oh, when a woman would have a baby, they would actually, she would give birth to that baby, and then they would take that baby from her. I needed to understand, why is there so much division in my community? Why is there so much heartbreak in my family? Because we were still playing out those captive behaviors of not being able to connect and bond and experience intimacy in the ways that the human spirit desires and yearns to do. We weren't given the opportunities to do that in safe and loving environments that allowed us to be free and open. So I had to go in and study it. I had to go claim it for myself so that I could see it in the particular way, in the details of it. So now I know what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm functioning in. Oh, this is where it came from. It came from this experience that started 250 fucking years ago. And I'm still living this out today. The etymology of it in my cell structure is still producing the same sort of symptoms. So you see, often in the Black community, higher rates of divorce, higher rates of cancer, why? Because we're still playing out those old things that have been inherited through the system of being captives, through not having resources, through neglect, through all of this sort of stuff, right? So when you understand the why, then you can actually begin to do the work of how to heal it. And what Venus says is the work is inside. We often want to believe that, oh, if they just stop doing what they're doing, we'll be better. Well, that's some of the challenge, right? But that's not it. That's not the solution. Because what they have been doing is inbreeded and embedded in us. So then we begin to do the thing to ourselves. We begin to take it on and we create a negative reciprocity, right? Where we are taking in the poison and wondering why we're still getting sick because we're still absorbing the narratives. It's in the TV shows, it's in the food, it's everywhere. You can't fucking it's fish to water. So you have to really begin to document how you are participating in this motherfucker, okay? And then ask yourself, how can I free myself from it? How can I get free from this? Whoo! So Venus is still at the 11th degree of Capricorn. And the 11th degree is the degree of flowering. And Capricorn is about our external authority. Capricorn is about our external authority, where we give it to, right? And so if you can, one of the things that I'm seeing in my life right now, oh, and it's so profound and it's very excruciatingly painful, is that it's like I was having some conversations yesterday with people that I love who know me for a very long time, and listening to them talk to me about me and how I show up. And what I realize is that I have spent my life believing that if people have a definition of me that doesn't feel good to me, I have made adjustments in my behavior to make them feel better. And I'm finished with that. I'm done with it, right? So yesterday I was able to listen to them and hear it and just go, and I was able to actually say, I hear you. And I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I'm not saying, like, I don't have an attachment to that idea that you have of me. So you have to do something about that inside of yourself. That's not for me to do. And it has taken me 50 fucking years to get to that place, to be able to realize that just because people are unhappy with my behavior doesn't have anything to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them and their responsibility. Now, that comes from being a woman, being a Black woman, right? It's like literally, I want to fucking own myself. I determine how this runs. I determine the what works here and what does not. No one else does. I am not on anyone else's clock or free. Like, if I don't own myself, then I'm not really happy. If I'm not making sure that what I'm doing is good for me, first and foremost, what difference does it make if it's good for others? If it's not fucking good for me? So this is the core of the retrograde energy. And Venus and Mercury are both now going direct. So we get to clean this energy back up as it goes direct, right? We get to look at it and see, where are we giving our power away and why are we doing it? And is it a practice that you learned from your mother and your grandmother and her mother and her mother, all the way back to our ancestors who came here from Africa, stepped over on this land, Or maybe they were already here and then were still taken into captivity because there were already free Black people here before the slave trade started here, right? The captive slave trade started here. So what we want to do is be looking at, how can you restore yourself? How can you restore yourself? And this is a deep, internal, personal question. This has nothing to do with anybody else. This is a question between you and God, because only you and God know what will restore you. Nothing outside of you is going to make you better. When I started asking, what will actually make me feel safe and secure? Because I realized that I had a voice in my head that was terrorizing me, scaring me. You don't have enough money. Da, 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 da. This is gonna happen. Da, da, da. If you this, like I had that going on. So when I started saying, what can I do to restore myself? The first thing Spirit said was, shut the fuck up in your head. Stop all these conversations that are terrorizing yourself inside of yourself. That was the first thing. And then start at, what does security really mean? What does faith really mean to me? What does freedom really mean to me? Not anybody else's definition. What is my definition? What do I need? Not what somebody else needs from me to make me feel happier. What do I fucking need? I don't, like, literally, it's like, we start doing things out of obligation because we've always done them this way. I realized a few years ago, not a few, I realized a few months ago that I had a friendship that was a 40-year friendship. And in our very last conversation, they said something to me, like, they said to me, you're reckless. And I literally looked at the phone. I was like, wow, I've been friends with somebody for 40 years, that in our final conversation, they want to tell me that I'm reckless when we've been friends for 40 years. Like, what is it in me that would be with somebody for 40 years? And this is the deep kernel that they are holding, that I have been overlooking. What is it that I'm doing that I would overlook that I would act like that? Because even though it wasn't being said, I always felt it. I always felt that the person felt some sort of way. I could feel it in there and just denied it, just ignored it, right? And so we have to ask ourselves, and what is it that why are we willing to participate in things? Why are we here? What is it we're doing? And when we do so, we will begin to shift these realities. So with that, today is a Venus day. It's about flowering. If you ask yourself the right questions, because flowering is happening, okay? Flowering is happening. So you want to be intentional about what you desire to flower. The moon is in Aries. The moon in Aries is at 0 degrees right now, which means that we're about to take off again. So really, we're literally looking at a deeper opportunity with the retrogrades turning direct, both Venus and Mercury versus Venus, but they are going to be both in a shadow until the beginning of March. So they are not over. Hear me out. They are not over. They're not going backwards anymore, but the retrograde is not over, because these retrogrades have been in conjunction with Pluto. So there is still much more to be released, there's still a lot coming through the psyche that needs to be released. Do not go to sleep yet, okay? This is the good part. This is the good part. So ask yourself, how can I restore myself? And then listen and do the work, and make sure that it has nothing to do with anybody else. Nothing to do with anybody else. Because what you're restoring is the way you relate to yourself. The people externally are just mirrors of how you relate to you. So, like I said, I had someone in my life for 40 years who, in our final conversation, said to me, you're reckless. That's something that I was holding inside of myself. They just reflected that to me. They reflected to me how I was feeling about myself. because that is what this is. This is all a mirror. This is all a information system. And so if people are giving you information about yourself, get interested in it. Get interested in what it is and see where it lands inside of you. So I know that I have been being reckless inside of myself by relating to people that weren't really in my best interest because I didn't know what my own fucking best interest was. You hear me? I hadn't done the deep internal work to know what my best interest was. I had only been doing my best interest of what people were telling me. You need to do this. You need to get married. You need to have money. You need to be this size. You need to look this way. You need to feel this way. This is good. This is bad. None of that had anything to do with me. We need to determine that for ourselves. Nobody can tell us what that is. No one. And so unless you're doing the deep internal work, you're being led by outside authorities and figures through your subconscious, your mama's voice, your daddy's voice, your friend's voice. It's in your subconscious. So you have to ask, question. Why am I creating this? How did this get here? What is this about? Is this ancestral? How do I heal this? And in the questioning, you will be released into a new reality. All right, y'all. So if this work is benefiting you this month, always or whatever, I encourage you, you can donate at my Cash App. That's $ Monique Ruffin, or you can donate at my Venmo. That's $ at Monique-Ruffin. My intention this month is to assist us as Black people to ask deeper questions, to get clear about how we are participating in this system that is called racism or white supremacy, because nothing is happening outside of our create. We are the creators of the reality. We are the generators of it. And because we built this system, it's all us. We just have to recognize it and see it as such. And when we do, we can actually begin to free ourselves by deconstructing it in our consciousness, by deconstructing it in our belief systems and our subconscious minds that was seeded through our ancestry. So this is the work we want to do. All right, you all. Peace and blessings. Have a really beautiful day. Bye-bye.